Hi, and welcome to Progressive Short Takes. I'm your host, Joe Firestone. So, the squad should take turns doing this every single day until a relief bill is passed by the Congress. Well, doing what? Well, by doing what AOC did not too long ago. Specifically, let's take a look at this post from Common Dreams. The post is entitled, "In Breaking the Senate, We're Abandoning Our People." Unquote. Watch AOC excoriate McConnell on the House floor. And this is by Jessica Corbett on November 20th, 2020. And she took to the House floor on behalf of her working class district and struggling Americans across the country to call out Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for sending members of the upper chamber home for Thanksgiving without striking a deal on coronavirus pandemic relief legislation. She decided to rise up and speak out, but because McConnell decided to break the Senate, quote unquote. And he broke the Senate as there are thousands of people in Texas lined up for food lines. He broke the Senate while hospitals no longer have beds to house the sick. And quote again, he broke the Senate and dismissed the Senate while 30 million Americans are on the brink of eviction. He dismissed the Senate when every single day when we go back to our communities, people are asking us, where is there going to be help? Is there going to be a second stimulus check? Are we going to get the resources we need? Unquote. And AOC said further, quote, in breaking the Senate, we are abandoning our people. She talked about how Thanksgiving is around the corner. And there are millions of Americans that won't be able to afford a meal to eat, that don't know if they'll be kicked out of their home, that are unsure if they're going to have to quit their job to care for their child. But the Republican-controlled Senate remains unmoved. AOC also said the Republican-controlled Senate, quote, abandoned them, unquote. And, quote again, it is unconscionable leadership to abandon our people, unquote. It is indeed. She highlighted how the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security CARES Act from March, the last relief bill that the Senate Republicans and President Trump agreed to approve, lifted out of poverty Americans who were trying to navigate the intertwined public health and economic crises. And she said, quote, people are going hungry and we're dismissing their needs as blue state needs or as bailouts, depending on what party you voted for, unquote. And quote again, hunger has no party. Illness has no party. And when we allow suffering to be alleviated or concentrated based on political affiliation, we are doing a disservice to our entire nation, unquote. Yes, in fact, what it says is that the public servant, involved is not a public servant of all the people, but only a public servant of those people who voted for them. Often it's not even that, because they're doing a disservice to many people who voted for them. Ocasio-Cortez also noticed critiques of how the $4 trillion that the U.S. how the $4 trillion how the $4 trillion that was used for coronavirus relief, was allocated. But specifically, more than half of that sum, quoting from her, roughly $2.3 trillion, has gone to businesses that in many cases did not need the help or weren't required to show they used the taxpayer funds to keep workers on the job. By contrast, about a fifth, $884 billion, went to workers and families. Only a fifth went to workers and families. It's incredible. And even less aimed at the health crisis itself, with 16% of the total going towards testing and tracing, vaccine development, and helping states provide care. In her floor speech, she responded to Republican concerns about covering the costs of future relief for Americans by noting that when he, quote, authorized the $4 trillion leverage bailout for Wall Street in March, he wasn't concerned about, quote, how are we going to pay for that, unquote. It is, quote, it is only when we are talking about relief for working people, for children, for families, for parents, for education, for healthcare, that all of a sudden we can't pay for any of these things. But when it comes to tax subsidies for private jets, we've got the money for that, unquote. ABC News reported late on Thursday, following the 20th, that the Democratic aide said staffers of McConnell and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy met earlier in the day to discuss ways coronavirus relief could be tacked on to a must-pass spending bill that needs to clear both chambers of Congress by December 11th to avert a government shutdown, unquote. However, Republican aides told the outlet, quote, that discussions between staffers on Thursday was strictly about passing the omnibus spending bill, which would fund the government through next year, and were unrelated to any additional coronavirus relief, unquote. So what's going to happen on that bill that has to pass by the 11th? Are they going to pass a clean bill to keep the government open? Or are Democrats going to bargain hard for relief? Seems to me they better fight. They better fight now. They can't let this tragedy continue into the new year. Okay. I think this should not be a one-off from AOC. I think she should enlist the squad, the current squad, and the 2B squad, which is double in size, with 8 people participating, and any other progressives who want to have a piece of it. I think each one should go to the floor, one per day, okay, and rotate, and condemn the Republicans and condemn Senator McConnell for their failure to pass relief for working people, relief for the elderly, relief for people who are not able to work, relief for people for whom there are no jobs, relief for the American people during this particular pandemic. And no, the level of the national debt is not of significance here. The level of the debt to GDP ratio is not of significance here. The government controls the purse strings. Fiscal sustainability is never impacted by the debt. It is never impacted by the deficit. Not fiscal sustainability per se. There may be other consequences, of deficit spending. Inflation, for example. But right now, in this depressed economy, inflation is not a concern. What is concern is that people will be able to stay in their homes, that 1 in 6 people will not be in danger of starvation, which is what we have right now. That people won't be concerned about having to get medical care when they need it in the middle of the pandemic. These are the concerns. These are concerns. The level of the debt is not an important concern. The debt, the debt to GDP ratio is not an important concern. It is not a matter of fiscal sustainability. That's it for now. I'll be back with another Progressive Short Take soon. Thank you very much.